Lost continents and ancient civilizations are among the most fascinating and mysterious stories in human history. Among countless legends, one stands out as a symbol of humanity's origin, the ancient continent of Mu, often referred to as the Garden of Eden. This mysterious land has captivated scientists, adventurers, and history enthusiasts for centuries. Many have even dedicated their lives to uncovering its secrets. But did Mu really exist? Or was it merely a creation of myth and legend? When we look at Earth from the perspective of the Pacific Ocean, we see how vast and seemingly unreachable it truly is. Yet one legend tells us that this immense body of water once hosted an equally immense continent. Many of you have likely heard the name of this lost continent, Mu. But how did this legend begin? Who or what sparked the world's fascination with Mu? Our journey begins with James Churchward, born in England in 1851. He was both a soldier and a researcher. In 1870, the young Churchward joined the British Army and was stationed in India, then a British colony. Unbeknownst to him, this journey would change his life forever. In India, Churchward became deeply fascinated by the country's mystical and exotic past. He began studying Sanskrit and ancient epics on his own. His curiosity about the unknown grew so much that even after completing his military service, he chose to remain in India to continue his studies. One day, Churchward met a Hindu mystic in Tibet, a man who would later become his teacher, known as Rishi. Through their conversations, Churchward learned of an ancient people called the Naacals. These weren't ordinary stories, they contained extraordinary secrets about the origins of humankind. Devoting himself to uncovering this hidden knowledge, Churchward became Rishi's student. After years of study, he was finally accepted as a member of a secret order tasked with preserving this ancient wisdom. Under Rishi's guidance, he began to learn the secrets of the Naacal language. During this time, Churchward gathered extensive notes about the mysterious Naacal civilization. According to his writings, the Naacals once lived on a great continent in the Pacific Ocean, a land known as Mu. It was a highly advanced civilization with a rich culture and spiritual system. It is believed that this great landmass lay between Hawaii, Fiji, and Easter Island. Legends claim that this civilization arose around 70,000 years ago, developing over thousands of years and spreading its influence across the world, founding colonies such as Egypt, the Toltecs, and Sumer. In other words, it was the first global civilization. Churchward further claimed that the Mu people believed in one supreme deity, a god symbolizing the harmony of nature and energy. This god's symbolic name was Ra, represented by the sun, the same sun symbol found in many later cultures. According to Churchward, evidence of Mu's technological and spiritual legacy can be seen in artifacts and symbols scattered across the world. He wrote that around 12,000 years ago, Mu, along with its 64 million inhabitants, was destroyed by cataclysmic events that sank the continent beneath the ocean. This cataclysm, he said, was remembered across cultures as the Great Flood. After the destruction, Mu's colonies, such as Egypt and the Toltecs, became isolated from the motherland and gradually developed their own religions and traditions. Yet, their core beliefs remained remarkably similar, suggesting a shared origin. Churchward was not the first to claim that all of humanity descended from a single ancient civilization. Years earlier, Helena Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy and a prominent mystic devoted to uncovering ancient wisdom, had presented similar ideas. She described the concept of root races, asserting that modern humanity and its various lineages originated from a series of common ancestral civilizations, including the Atlanteans and the Aryans. To give a brief summary, according to Helena Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy, the first root race of humanity consisted of beings with ethereal bodies. Over time, these energy-based forms evolved into the physical human bodies we have today. Modern humanity, she claimed, represents the fifth root race, descended from the Atlantean and Aryan lineages. The sixth and seventh races, she predicted, would emerge after the 28th century. As you can see, it's quite an unusual and intriguing concept. Similarly, Augustus Le Plongeon, a 19th century archaeologist, conducted research in South America and proposed that the Maya civilization had been founded by migrants from Mu, the Naacal people who fled before the continent's destruction. He also wrote about symbolic similarities between Maya, Mu, and Egyptian cultures, claiming they all shared a common origin. From an ancient Mayan codex, the Troano Codex, now known as the Madrid Codex, Le Plongeon translated the following passage. In the 6th year of the Cain, on the 11th day of the month Zak, a terrible earthquake continued until the 13th Chuen. The land of Mu was sacrificed. It rose and sank twice, and then, during one night, disappeared beneath the waves. The earth trembled several times before settling again. This catastrophe caused the death of 64 million people and occurred 8,000 years before this record was written. William Scott Elliott, another theosophist author, also expanded on Blavatsky's theories. In his books, he described the root races as being physically enormous, almost giants compared to modern humans. He suggested that over time, these primordial races evolved into various ethnic groups, such as the Akkadians and Mongols. Let's summarize the core of these claims. They speak of an ancient root civilization dating back between 50,000 and 100,000 years that supposedly built highly advanced societies, most notably Mu, Lemuria, and Atlantis. According to these legends, the continent of Mu sank beneath the Pacific Ocean around 12,000 BC, triggering global cataclysms remembered as the Great Flood. These disasters allegedly destroyed or isolated the world's early interconnected civilizations, and even Atlantis, they say, perished in the same chain of events. After this Great Flood, human civilization, as we know it, supposedly restarted around 5000 BC. The dawn of recorded history. Such enormous claims naturally demand equally powerful evidence. Some dismiss these as pure fantasy, yet it's true that modern discoveries have raised intriguing questions. If a global civilization once existed, how could we trace its remains? The answer, proponents argue, lies in shared symbols, beliefs, and engineering techniques that appear across distant ancient cultures. Look at our modern world. We are not a single nation, yet we live in a globalized system. From music to architecture, human creativity has begun to converge. The same could have happened in deep antiquity, and researchers who support the Mu hypothesis use this reasoning to explain worldwide similarities. They claim the people of Mu possessed extraordinary engineering abilities, especially in stone craftsmanship. Let's begin with that claim. When we study the world's ancient civilizations, we indeed find stonework that surpasses even modern precision. For example, in Peru's Machu Picchu and Ollantaytambo, the massive stone blocks fit together so perfectly that even a knife blade cannot slip between them as if they were fused together. Some of these blocks are so large that even today, moving them would be a monumental task. Take Pumapunku, for instance. The site features andesite blocks, which score 7 on the Mohs hardness scale. For comparison, diamond rates a 10. To carve such stone, you would need diamond-tipped tools or even industrial lasers. Yet the precision of these cuts, straight lines, interlocking angles, and smooth surfaces remains inexplicable. Another striking example is the Baalbek Temple in Lebanon, one of the oldest and most mysterious structures on Earth. Nobody knows who originally built it, but successive civilizations, from the Phoenicians to the Romans, constructed their own temples atop its massive foundation stones. For those wondering why this matters, consider the trilithon stones forming the temple's base. Each block measures about 19 meters long, 4.5 meters wide, and 3.5 meters high, with an estimated weight between 800 and 1,000 tons. Mainstream archaeology attributes these to the Romans, yet this raises 2 serious problems. First, 800 tons is heavier than 7 Boeing 747 airplanes combined. The Romans possessed no known machinery capable of moving such colossal blocks. Even today, the world's most powerful cranes barely handle similar weights. Second, Baalbek was not originally Roman. Historical evidence shows that the Romans merely expanded an older site, itself built upon even earlier foundations dating back to the Phoenicians, who in turn had reused an even more ancient temple platform. In other words, Baalbek, like many other ancient sites around the world, may carry the silent fingerprints of a forgotten, technologically advanced civilization, perhaps the same one that legends call Mu, the enigma of Baalbek, Madol, Yonaguni, and the lost world of Mu. The truth is, no one knows exactly who built Baalbek, when, or for what purpose. Current research estimates that its origins may reach back as far as 9000 BC. Structures like Baalbek, the pyramids of Egypt, or the ancient city of Teotihuacan all share one unsolved mystery: how these massive stone structures were built and by whom. Across the globe, we see the same astonishing ability to shape enormous stones with impossible precision. This global pattern suggests that humanity's past might hold secrets far older and more complex than we've been taught. In recent years, new discoveries have reignited this mystery, particularly the Madol and Yonaguni structures. Let's start with Madol. Located on Pohnpei Island in Micronesia, it's an entirely man-made complex covering about 18 square kilometers. Many researchers believe this site once marked the southern border of the lost continent of Mu. But as soon as you mention that theory, mainstream historians dismiss it with laughter. Still, let's look at the facts before judging. Madol was built from giant basalt columns weighing between 5 and 50 tons each, some reaching 7 meters in length. In total, nearly 1 million tons of basalt were used. Even today, the walls that remain stand 10 meters high, and no one knows how these stones were transported or from where they came. Official history tells us that Madol was built around 1200 AD by the Saudeleur dynasty, which ruled the island for about 400 years. But this explanation raises serious questions. If the Saudeleur were a relatively primitive society, how did they move and stack stones weighing tens of tons with such precision? Why are there no other structures like Madol anywhere else in their territory? How did they build such a complex infrastructure, complete with canals, drainage, and even what appears to be an early sewage system? Mainstream archaeology offers no solid answers. Excavations have found Saudeleur artifacts at the site, and this is used as proof that they built it. But couldn't they have simply settled in an already existing, much older city just as later civilizations built atop Teotihuacan, Pumapunku, or Angkor Wat? Now, let's move to Yonaguni, off the coast of Japan. Since 1986, Professor Masaki Kimura of Ryukyu University has studied a structure discovered underwater, now known as the Yonaguni Monument. It features sharp angles, terraces, corridors, and geometric patterns that look distinctly artificial. However, debates continue. Is it a natural formation or a man-made relic? Kimura argues that if it was built by humans, it would date back to the end of the Pleistocene era, the Younger Dryas, over 10,000 years ago. Research is ongoing, and as new data emerges, perhaps we'll one day understand its true origin. Another clue, possibly linked to Mu, comes from Easter Island. According to mainstream history, the island once hosted about 25,000 inhabitants, who eventually depleted their resources and abandoned it, leaving behind the Moai statues as monuments to their ancestors. It's a tidy story, but it doesn't quite fit the evidence. Easter Island lies in total isolation, 3,500 kilometers from the nearest continent and 2,000 kilometers from the nearest island. So how did thousands of people reach such a remote place? Historians claim they were ancient Polynesians, skilled navigators who arrived in canoes. But these weren't large empires like Sumer or Egypt. They were small, tribal societies. What if, instead, these people had originally lived on a now sunken landmass part of Mu and simply walked or migrated to higher ground before the floods came? That idea is dismissed as fantasy, yet it might explain the mysteries better than conventional theories. For years, we were told that the Moai statues were just heads, built for ritual purposes. But excavations in recent decades revealed that many of them have full bodies, some up to 20 meters tall and weighing 200 tons buried deep beneath the earth. Mainstream scholars say the islanders buried them intentionally, but it's just as likely that these statues were buried by a cataclysmic event, not by human hands, much like Göbekli Tepe, another ancient site that was mysteriously buried thousands of years ago. So which story makes more sense? That primitive tribes crossed the Pacific in canoes, built 20-meter stone giants, and then buried them for unknown reasons? Or that a massive cataclysm, perhaps the very same one that sank Mu, reshaped the world and buried entire civilizations beneath time and ocean? Personally, I find the second explanation far more convincing. In the end, we may never know whether Mu or Atlantis truly existed. Researchers like Churchward and Laplanche offered no solid proof, but their ideas opened the door to a deeper question about humanity's shared origins. Across the world, we still find echoes of the same symbols, beliefs, and architectural genius, as if fragments of a forgotten wisdom survive within every culture. As science advances, we learn that not all myths are mere imagination. Perhaps one day, deep in the Pacific, we'll uncover real evidence of the world's first civilization. Until then, these stories remind us that the past remains full of mystery and worth exploring.